Today we're going to be looking at number lines and the ways that your child will be asked to read a number line. We talk about number lines are just a tool that organizes numbers for us, and it just gives us a little snapshot of where numbers are organized. The first type of question that your child will be seeing is what number best represents point Q. And so in this case, they're given a list of numbers, and they are going to be asked to find a point that represents a letter that's given. That's important vocabulary for them to say that represents, because they need to understand that this symbol of Q is actually representing a number that's there on the number line. Whenever they see a number line like this, what's challenging about it is that they are told to find numbers that are closest to each other. That won't always be the case, that numbers will be right beside each other, but for third grade right now, what we're looking at for this part of the year is that numbers are right beside each other, and that's where they're going to find the pattern. So even though these are the numbers that I see at the beginning of my number line, I'm actually going to go down here to 170 and 175 to actually find my pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect these. I'll see that from 170 to 175 that is a difference of 5. And so I put that my pattern here is plus 5. And so then from here, the children have the option. I can count backwards to find Q, or I could just start at 140 and count forwards. Now we also talked to the kiddos about how even though these numbers are here, I'm probably not going to use this because I want to start with what's closest to Q. So to start all the way back here would probably not be the best use of my math time. So I'm just going to go ahead and start here, which is what most kiddos do, like I said, although they could count backwards. And so from here I'm going to say plus 5, so that would be 145, and the kiddos need to label that so that they're not doing all their thinking in their head. Plus another 5 would give me 150. Plus another 5 would give me 155. Plus another 5 would give me 160. And I'm going to keep going. Even though this is Q, I'm going to keep going to make sure that I have proved my pattern correct, so that if I have, I will end up at 170 over here. So if I keep going, this should be 165, and if I kept going, this would be 170, which means that I did read my number line correctly. And then I would just say that Q represents the number 160. Now the other form that we're going to be looking at is where I'm giving a lot of points. And so I'm going to say which point best represents the number 15. And so here I have several letters, which is very confusing because I actually have more letters than I do numbers. And again, we have to get our kiddos to realize that these letters are just symbols that are there to represent a number. Now this number line is a little bit easier because my numbers actually start together. So I'm going to ask myself, okay, which two numbers are together so that I can find my pattern? Again, that won't always be the case that the numbers will be right beside each other, but for right now they are. And what is the difference between from 3 to 6? That would be that my pattern is plus 3. And I'm going to complete my pattern to go on so that I can find which one represents 15. So then plus 3 would be 9, plus another 3 would be 12, plus another 3 would be 15. And then I'm going to check just to make sure. If I've done it correctly, then this should in fact be 18, and it is. So then I know that point R represents 15. And it's good for kiddos to realize that points M and J are unreasonable, because if it says which one represents 15, 15 cannot be after 18.